Dear learners, welcome back to NPTEL online certification course on novel drug delivery systems. I am Dr. Satish Dyavanapalli, Assistant Professor at Department of Pharmaceutical Science and Technology, Institute of Chemical Technology, Mumbai. In our previous sessions, we started with the controlled drug delivery systems. So, we have discussed on the what are the control release drug delivery systems, and then we have discussed what is the need of the control release drug delivery system, and further we have seen some of the rationale of the designing of drug delivery systems, and further we have focused on the what are the advantages and the limitations of the control release drug delivery systems. So, today we are going to discuss on the approaches to design control release drug delivery systems. In our previous lecture, we have discussed on the approaches to design control release drug delivery systems. In that, we have discussed what are the general design considerations to develop a control release formulations. So, there we have discussed the general focus which are required for the designing of control release formulations. So, after that we have discussed some of the key factors which are very important that we have discussed for the designing of the control release drug delivery systems. And after that we have discussed some of the strategies which are involved in the designing of the control release drug delivery systems, and further we have discussed on the drugs which are not suitable for control release drug delivery systems. So, today we are going to continue the same topic with the various types of the control release drug delivery systems. So, today I am going to discuss on the approaches to design control release drug delivery systems. So, in first we will see the classification or types of control release drug delivery systems, and then in that we are going to discuss on the few of the types of control release drug delivery systems. So, in that first one is the dissolution controlled release drug delivery system, then diffusion controlled drug delivery systems, and then we will see the dissolution and diffusion controlled drug delivery systems. So, based on the mechanism of the drug release, these systems are classified into different categories. So, here we can see the first one is the dissolution control system. So, the main mechanism of the release of such systems will work on the dissolution as a mechanism. And in second case, we will see the diffusion control systems, and the third one is the combination of these two, the dissolution and diffusion control systems. And in the dissolution control, it can further classified based on the encapsulation dissolution control systems, and the second one is the matrix dissolution control systems, and it can further classified into the ion exchange resins and then osmotic control release systems. In coming to the diffusion, we have a matrix systems, we have a reservoir system, and then reservoir and monolithic systems. So, today we are going to focus on the different types of the control release systems with some marketed products. Now, as we know that controlled drug release systems, we will take the molecules or take the drugs and we will coat or we will encapsulate it in some polymer to control the release. As we know in our first class, we have studied that these systems will deliver the or release the molecules in a predetermined rate. To maintain that, the drug molecules, the drugs need to be encapsulated or that need to be reservoid in a systems. So, here the control release systems, as we have seen the dissolution control systems and the diffusion control systems, and then the dissolution and diffusion control drug delivery systems. So, here you can see the first we are focusing on the dissolution control drug delivery systems. So, these can further classified into the reservoir systems, and then it can be classified into the matrix systems. So, if you coat your drug molecules, drugs either by coating or encapsulating with any type of the slowly dissolving polymeric membranes, which are called as reservoir systems. So, now here you can see the pictorial representation of the reservoir systems. Now, you can see here these are the drug molecules and which is surrounded, which is encapsulated by the polymer coatings, which will dissolve slowly. So, with that mechanism the dissolution can be controlled. Now, you can see further. So, in case of a T0, the time 0, the before release study or before dissolution, the drug loading is high and you will not see any release from the systems. So, such systems called as drug reservoirs and the reservoir system. When you perform the release study, during the release study, so when time moves from T0 to T1 in some place, and you can consider T2 and it goes on. But here you can see there is a polymer solubility you will see, but this happens very slowly as it is indicated here. Now, once the polymer is dissolved, so what happens? Your drug also will release slowly from the systems. Now, you can see when time goes on, your drug also will release. So, that is called as reservoir systems. With this reservoir system, even you can protect various types of sensitive molecules which will protect from the degradation of the enzymes and acidic conditions. And these polymers will respond to the biological fluids as well as the biological or physiological pH. So, based on that, the polymer will dissolve slowly and your drug will release slowly. And in another side, we will see the matrix systems or monolithic systems. Now, here the drugs are dispersed or which will you will see which will the matrix are mixed with the polymer. So, you cannot separate out your drugs. Here you can see, you can consider this is a core system and this is the shell outer layer. So, that you can separate out or you can identify easily, whereas in matrix system it is not like that. Your drug is matrixed or combined with the polymer. So, here how it works? So, you can see here this representation by the polymer matrix, that is matrixed, and also your drug is dispersed and it looks like in one system. There is no core and the shell systems. And when time goes on from 0 to time 1 at different time intervals during the dissolution studies, now you can see there is still the undissolved matrix is available within the system. So, here the time goes on from T1 to T2 and further T, and your polymer and drug will dissolve slowly. So, at the end your drug will release slowly from the monolithic systems. So, these are the two different types of systems we can design by using the by controlling the dissolution systems. And as we know that dissolution is a rate limiting step, right. Once you achieve the dissolution, your drug will ready or which drug is available for the absorption, right. So, it is one of the major rate limiting step for the absorption. So, yes, this can be discussed by various theories which help us to understand the dissolution. And we know that the dissolution time is nothing but the time required to release the drug from the dosage form. If you control the dissolution rate, then you can expect the drug release rate at a predetermined rate. So, which is called as dissolution controlled drug delivery systems. So, here we know that we can further dissolution release study can be classified into two systems. One is encapsulation, or you can say the reservoir systems, and is also known as coating dissolution control systems. So, here what we do, we decrease the dissolution rate of the drugs which are highly water soluble. So, those drugs are highly water soluble, we need to control the release rate from the dosage form by using various polymers which will dissolve slowly. So, with that we can expect dissolution control release by using the encapsulation as a technique. So, here as we seen in case of dissolution control system, here also we can make the reservoir systems as well as the matrix systems. And this dissolution rate, it is depends on the stability and the thickness of the coating systems. Now, you can see here this thickness is very important. So, your release will depend on the thickness of your polymer. So, now here you can see this is the encapsulation system. So, here your drug is available in your system as a reservoir, and on that, so there is a layer which is called as the polymer coat. So, that will control the release of highly water soluble drugs. And yes, the stability of the polymer also is very important, which help to understand the dissolution rate. And as I mentioned, with this you can mask the taste, we can also mask the odor of the drug and also taste of the drug. Wherever if you want to overcome the bitter taste of your drug, such cases we can use encapsulation method as a dissolution control parameter. And then yes, with this you can also minimize the GI irritation, that is a gastric irritation. There are the drugs which induce the gastric irritation. Such cases drugs can be encapsulated, or you can make in a reservoir system. So, your drug will release slowly at desired biological site. These are the some marketed products. So, here we can see in the encapsulation dissolution control is drug delivery systems. So, here the first product, here we can see that is dextromethorphan sulfate, and this product is used, this API can be used for the treatment of the narcolepsy. So, this product we can use it for the treatment of chronic neurological disorders, and this will available in the market as in a 5 mg, 10 mg and then 15 mg. So, this can be used it as in a once a day dosage form. And the another encapsulation dissolution control marketed product, that is chlortrimeton. So, which is the active product is chlorpheniramine maleate. This is commonly used for the common cold, itching and the allergy. And now we can see the interesting part, this 12 mg will work for the 12 hours. So, by converting of the simple molecules into the control release formulations, so you can expect the long time release. Same product which comes in the market as a 4 mg the same product which will come in the market, which is in the 12 mg, which works for the 4 hours, and you can use same product with the dissolution control, you can expect up to 12 hours. So, that is the beauty of the encapsulation dissolution control drug delivery systems. So, now the second topic, it is matrix dissolution control systems. So, here these also known as monolithic dissolution control systems, and you can see here the drug is embedded and you can see it is mixed with the polymer. So, that is why it is called as a matrix dissolution control systems. So, here also the polymer will dissolve slowly and you cannot separate as a core and cells as a shell systems. So, here once you perform the dissolution study, your polymer and your drug will release slowly as a matrix system. So, here the principle is dissolution, it is controlled by altering the porosity of the dosage form and decreasing its wettability and dissolving at slow rate. Now, once you perform the dissolution study, what happen? The aqueous fluid will come in contact with your dosage form, then it forms pores on the surface and that will help in the release of the drug from the dosage forms. From this, your drug will come out as a dissolution control system in a matrix system. So, here when you take the medicine, that will dissolve in the physiological fluid, and once the matrix dissolves, the drug is released into the surrounding medium, then further it undergoes absorption, then distribution, metabolism and excretion. So, here these are the few polymers we can use it, that is hydrophilic matrices, and the second one is the insoluble hydrophobic matrices. Now, these polymers hydroxy, propyl, methyl cellulose and the xanthan gums are the best example for the hydrophilic matrices. This will work on the principle of swelling and the eroding mechanism, and whereas insoluble hydrophobic, and yes, definitely their degradation or the release is very high compared with the hydrophilic materials, and they will slowly erode and they will degrade. So, when you want to go for the longer time for the as a dissolution control system, so insoluble polymers are the preferable compared with the hydrophilic polymers. So, these are the some examples which are available in the market. So, the brand name is Dimetap, extend tabs which are comes in the market as in the 12 mg of the brompheniramine maleate and the phenylepinephrine HCl as in a 20 mg, and these can be used for the 12 hours and which can be used for the therapeutic indication, that is for cold and for flu and for other allergic symptoms. So, with this we can make in a dissolution control systems. So, by using of that reservoir system as well as the matrix control systems, we can expect the control release at a predetermined rate. So, this will very helpful for the treatment those who undergo for the chronic diseases, especially in case of diabetes and for the cancer treatment. Such cases these products will helpful for the treatment, for continuous treatment of such patients, and with that what we will get a benefit is that we can improve the patient compliance, and not only that we can improve the patient safety, and as well as this will help for the better treatment for the society. And definitely, and this dissolution control systems has a huge demand when you are going for the treatment of the chronic therapy. So, with this we are going to stop today's lecture at this point, and in our upcoming classes we are going to discuss some of other types of the control system, and in that we are going to discuss on the diffusion control systems and some of the other types of the control systems, and we are going to see on various aspects which are involved in the designing of the control systems. So far today we have discussed the classification of matrix dissolution systems, and also we have discussed on the other types of the dissolution systems. So, we are going to stop today's lecture here. Thank you so much.